All right, this is something I've actually wanted to do for a while. I want to just rank every Disney Animation Studios feature film on a tier list, and just give my thoughts about each one as I go along because I really want to talk about these movies and I've never really had a way to talk about them. So I figure this is a good way to do it. I get to talk about every single one and I get to rank. Now I'm only going to be doing the 63 current existing Disney Animation Studios feature films. I'm not doing like ones by Toon Disney, like a Goofy movie. I'm not doing ones by Touchstone, like Nightmare Before Christmas or anything. I'm not doing Pixar. I'm only doing the proper Disney Animation Studios films. So, Snow White through Moana 2. Zootopia 2 comes out, I think, at the end of this year, like the holiday season. So, obviously, that's not on this list. I have seen most of these movies. There's only about maybe three or four that I haven't seen, and I have a never seen tier on here, which I'll just plop them in there because I'm not about to rank a movie I don't know anything about. So, without any further ado, let's get into this. I'm gonna go chronologically in order of them and just kind of rank them how I see fit going forward. So, of course, first we have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from 1937, the one that started it all, the one that everyone's talked about. They called it Disney's Folly. They thought it was gonna bankrupt the whole studio, and ended up making it a massive success. So I guess I have to lay down some criteria. This is my personal opinions. These are not necessarily going to be how technically good I think each one is. This is going to be how much I like the film and how good I think it is. And certain things will be determining factors like influence, impact, how much they hold up over time, and everything. Those are all going to impact the ranking for me. So it's going to be personal preference, impact, innovation, and how enjoyable I find them to be just to watch, on a regular basis. So there's going to be some different reasons why certain things get certain rankings, but just to let you know, that's going to be generally how it works. So Snow White, I think, needs big points for impact and innovation because none of these films would exist if it wasn't for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs being a success. So for that reason alone, I think it needs to go pretty high. I also think it's the best just straight narrative film out of the original Golden Age films. The Golden Age is kind of Snow White through Bambi. It's not my favorite. It's my second favorite out of that bunch. It's not my favorite out of that bunch, but I think as far as the narrative ones go, it's the best one. I think it has the most appeal probably for all of them. I think today people enjoy Snow White more. I mean, the princess movies are kind of Disney's bread and butter. They're kind of the most popular films. And this was a great place to start. This is a great way to lay down the groundwork of what Disney would be going forward. And Snow White, it's still a ton of fun. The narrative's a little sloppy. It's kind of just a lot of cute, charming musical segments with characters doing goofy things, linked together loosely with a story. It's not as narratively driven as later ones. A lot of later Disney movies, the musical aspect serves a lot more of a purpose of progressing the story, whereas in these earlier ones, the musical numbers were kind of just random. Like, we're going to take a break from the story and have fun. Where I think they got better at making the musical numbers fun. They felt like fun breaks, but they also progressed the story and characters and fleshed out everybody more and more. And there's some of this, like I'm Wishing is definitely a character development song. But then you have a lot of stuff like the silly song where the dwarves are just, playing on the organ and they're dancing with Snow White. And that's just kind of like, let's hit the brakes and have fun. But you needed that. And definitely made a lot of people happy back then. And it really showed what you could do with feature animation. I do think the animation is a bit jarring. Obviously, it's the first one, 1937. this movie's like almost 90 years old. So yes, of course there's going to be jarring animation, but I just think the style where the dwarves are really cartoony, but the humans aren't, and they're heavily rotoscoped. And they use rotoscoping all the way through their 2D animation, like the Little Mermaid and stuff. They're rotoscoping, but it's more just to get poses down and like how like hair would move and stuff. Where like the characters they're drawing on top of the actors in stuff like Little Mermaid are completely different. They don't look realistic at all. Their faces don't look like the real person. Their bodies don't look like real human bodies. Like everything is stylized and created anew. It's just using references. Whereas in Snow White, they're kind of just straight up tracing. And I think in the older ones, they do just trace when they want to draw an attractive human or just a serious looking human. Because Snow White, the prince, the huntsman, and the queen, they all look like they were traced, and like they're kind of missing facial features a lot of times. They just have nostrils and no noses and stuff, and their faces look real empty at times. They look very restricted. But and then they have that like they show some details but not others. So when they have that line from their cheek, the way they turn their face sometimes, it makes their cheeks look extra weird and blocky and chubby, because it would look fine if it was like fully detailed, but there's so little detail on the face that it stands out. But the dwarves look amazing. The dwarves move incredibly. I don't know why when I was a little kid, I had an irrational hatred of Dopey. I hated his face. There was something about his face. I just wanted to clock him in the face so badly. I don't know why. I hated his face as a kid. And that's never gonna fully go away for some reason. But I do respect, at least like from an artistic standpoint, the way the character was done. I do think he has a ton of personality for a character who doesn't talk. The way his ears wiggle, the way he responds to things, the way his clothes don't fit, the way he has like kind of a limp when he walks, and he's always too slow. He has to like scurry to catch up with the other dwarves. There's so many like little quirks that he has that a lot of animators don't think of doing. A lot of animators don't give characters natural quirks like that, where they just kind of do a thing. Like the Disney does it, and I'll talk about it again later, but it's just shows that they were thinking like ahead of other animators at that time, and it just gives so much personality to a mute character. So yeah, Snow White's a masterpiece. I don't know if I would put it in A though, because there's some really freaking good movies on this list. It may get bumped up to A at some point, but I think for the time being, I can put it in high B. I think it's going to sit nicely there. Now we have Pinocchio. Now, from a technical standpoint, an artistic standpoint, it is leagues beyond Snow White. They really pushed the boundaries. Walt really wanted to show just what could be done. And it is a marvel to look at, especially when you think that this came out in, 1940, I believe. But I don't think it's as good a story as Snow White. He's working with a story that was already pre-written, so it goes where it goes. Like, he's not going to change it too much. Back then, there wasn't as much modifying the adaptations. They're still, they still changed things, but I feel like they were a little more true back then, where when we get to the Renaissance, they changed them greatly to kind of have more of a brand, friendly, tone for the whole brand. Pinocchio scared a lot of people. A lot of people were terrified of this movie. It didn't scare me as a kid. And I do really like Pinocchio. There is like an atmosphere about it that is really cool. It is a little spooky. I do like that. I feel like I didn't appreciate it enough as a kid. As a kid, I didn't really pay attention to it. I didn't, like, it would go on. My mom would put it on for me. I'd watch it for a few minutes and then kind of just wander off and do my own thing, and then come back and see a part and then wander off and do my own thing. So it wasn't a big one for me when I was younger, but I've grown to appreciate it a lot more as an adult. it's still, I don't think it's as good a story as Snow White. I feel like it's a lot of like, and then this character shows up, and then this happens for about 10 minutes. And then he learns his lesson, and then this character shows up, and then this happens for about 10 minutes. And that's kind of just the whole movie. Which I get it. I get it's supposed to be he's going out into the world and learning how dangerous and scary the world can be. And yeah, I get it. But I wouldn't say, I would say it's I said put it in B, but I don't think it's as good as Snow White. I think Snow White's a better movie. Now we have Fantasia. Now I was leaving this out when I was saying the narrative films from the Golden Age, the first 5 films, because I think Fantasia is the best movie in the first 5. It was definitely the one I loved the most as a child. I remember when I saw this as a kid, it was like a special event. I remember specifically one night, I'd already seen it before. There was one night where I just kind of like put it on and just made a whole night out of it. It was just me in the living room. It wasn't any of my siblings or anything, or my parents. It was just me. And I remember, like, it was an event. It felt really special, this movie. And I saw it multiple times. But you really felt like you were, like, at, like, an opera or something. Like, you were at a concert, like a concerto. And like you were just in the audience witnessing this like really classy affair, and it just had a lot of class to it, a lot of creativity. I mean, obviously the music's beautiful, a lot of just beloved classical pieces, but there's so much creativity in it, and the animation is so good, and you get such a good variety in there. There's just, it's hard to put into words why Fantasia is so good. I'm going to put it into S. Because I think it absolutely belongs in S tier. Some people might not agree with that because, again, it's not like a narrative film. But I think it belongs in S. I personally love Fantasia. I think it's a great film. It definitely not every segment is as good as the other one. I feel like there's definitely standouts. I think the different seasons in the Nutcracker Suite, I think that one's really good. I think the Night on Bald Mountain with the devil is really good. Even the intro, that one's really, it's just like kind of abstract imagery that represents the music and the instruments and all playing it, but it's really creative, and it really kind of just takes you, it puts you in that mindset like you're going into some otherworldly realm. And yeah, it's really good. Obviously the Mickey one is good, Sorcerer's Apprentice and all, but yeah, it's not, they're not all as good. I think like the Hippo one's fun, but it's a little goofy. It's not as good as the other ones. The dinosaur one's a little depressing. Like, you could have done something really cool with the dinosaurs, but it's just kind of, you're mostly just watching a bunch of dinosaurs die, and it's kind of, like, sad, and they could have made it more, like, grandiose, I feel. I know they're trying to match the music, and the song kind of sounds like that, but, yeah, that one's not my favorite. It's pretty depressing. And the Greek one's fun. I like the Greek one. It definitely laid the groundwork for Hercules, which would come out decades later. There's some similarities in there. But yeah, Fantasia, S tier, it's fantastic. Now Dumbo. Dumbo's one I liked a lot as a kid. I would say as a kid, I liked it more than Snow White. But as an adult, I think Snow White's the superior film. Dumbo definitely has much simpler animation than the past 3 movies. Not as much shadow and lighting, not as much texture and all. Much more simple character designs and all, but it's still good. It's a great movie. Great music, great musical pieces in it. Very sad, full of emotion. I think a lot of people consider this one of the saddest Disney movies. It definitely is, and it's, one thing I respect about it is it's sad without having to kill any of the characters. Usually Disney movies, the way they get you to be sad is they kill a family member or something. In Dumbo, the family gets separated, and the kid goes through so much abuse. that it makes you sad. The mother gets locked up, and it's based on a horrible true story that happened in Coney Island. Don't look into that if you don't want to be in a bad mood. But yeah, Dumbo is really good. It's a masterpiece. I'd say it's better than Pinocchio. I think it's much more emotional than Pinocchio. It gets much more of a response out of me than Pinocchio. Even though Pinocchio is superior artistically. But again, I don't think it's as good as Snow White. So I would put it in B tier, in between those two. Now for Bambi. Bambi's good. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like I dislike Bambi. I like Bambi a lot. It has some really cool atmospheric moments and all. But it's definitely the weakest of the first five, in my opinion. It doesn't have that much of a story. It's just like, here's the life of a deer. And I just don't think the life of that deer is that interesting, to be honest. The characters are barely even characters. There's not that much to them. It's just kind of like, okay, it's winter now. See how all the animals interact with ice. Okay, now it's spring. Now they're all, ready to mate. It's just kind of like these little vignettes. It doesn't even really feel like a proper film. It feels like the films that would follow it right after, where it's just a bunch of vignettes, although it happens to all be the same characters in each of them. I don't think Bambi's like a standout movie for me. I think a lot of people love it, and I think it has a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people because we all saw it at a young age, and it's been around for so long that, it's one of the first 5 Disney films. It was one of those ones that was in like everyone's collection from like, whenever you could own home video, I guess like the 70s all the way to like modern time. And, people in the 50s, I'm sure they brought it back to theaters. I'm sure they showed it on TV and stuff. So I think everyone saw Bambi at a young age. I think, though, out of the classic films, aside from Fantasia, Bambi is visually and audio-wise the most beautiful. I think the sceneries, artistically, the way they're done, are just gorgeous. The way the fire in the woods looks at the end is insanely well done for hand-drawn animation. But I think most of all, any of the scenes of the Great Prince of the Forest, like Bambi's father, walking around the woods, kind of when he's like alone, you have those moments where you see him walking through the woods. And the way the music is and the choir singing and everything, the music's amazing and the visuals are so beautiful and they're so well done. It's just a deer walking through the woods, but they're able to make you feel like you're witnessing like a religious experience. Like it's really well done. I would say for that, Bambi is amazing. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful movie to look at, and it's a beautiful movie to listen to. But I just think as a film, it's a lot weaker. And I guess we can't talk about Bambi without talking about the part everybody talks about. It seems like when you bring this movie up, there is only one thing people remember about Bambi, and it's the mom getting shot, and everyone says like, oh, it's one of the saddest Disney movies. It's so messed up they put that in there, and like the kids had to suffer through that. But it's like, it's actually, as far as Disney movies go, it's not that sad. She gets shot off screen, and it happens kind of quick. Bambi's crying, but then it's like the dad just shows up out of nowhere. He's like, all right, I guess I got to be your dad now. And then the movie just continues. And there's never like a callback to it. There's no like emotional callback later on. It just kind of happens, and then the movie moves on. And it's like, okay. They just kind of make it seem like, yeah, it's rough, but that's part of life. Anyway, I don't find it that sad. I don't think it's that sad a moment. Like, you have a moment like Mufasa dying in The Lion King is way more sad and has a lot more to do with the story, and they keep calling back to it, and it really messes with the character's mind and everything, whereas Bambi's not that deep. Bambi's just kind of like, deer prances around meadow, deer does this, deer does that. It's just kind of what it is. I don't know, it's just a movie about a deer. So I like Bambi, but I'm gonna put that one in C tier because I don't think it's as good as the other 4 films out of the first 5. Now we move on to the second age, which some people call the war era. I call it the anthology era because these films were all anthology films, just a bunch of shorts slapped together. And this is definitely one of the weaker eras for Disney. Not a lot of huge hits. Saludos Amigos was their first one. I'd put it in D. It's fine. It introduced Jose, the parrot character, to the world, which he's fun, he's cool, everyone likes him, but aside from that, it's just kind of a bunch of little musical numbers and stuff, and weird sketches where Donald and Jose are like interacting with real people and all, and it just feels like an experiment. It's okay, but it's not great. And then right afterwards, they made the Three Caballeros, and that was kind of like a sequel. It's kind of seen as like that's like the first theatrical sequel to a film. But it's really not. It's just, again, a bunch of random little vignettes. So it just happens to have some of those characters like Donald and Jose in it. So it kind of gets lumped in as a sequel, but it's really not a sequel. Both are just a bunch of shorts. But I would say the Three Caballeros is better because it has the Three Caballeros sketch in it. So I would say that definitely makes it better than Saludos Amigos. But that's not saying that much because I don't think Saludos Amigos is like that amazing to begin with. But I think both of them are better than Make Mine Music. Make Mine Music, it has some good moments in it, don't get me wrong. It definitely has some good ones, but I feel like there's so many vignettes in that one. That one's just jam-packed with stuff. And a lot of them are just like silly symphony cartoons that just got packaged in. And I really feel like that one feels the most like you're just watching a bunch of scraps. It doesn't feel like this was made to be a theatrical thing. And most of these movies weren't. But this one really just feels like you left like a cartoon channel on and you're just catching a bunch of random cartoon shows. It doesn't feel like a movie. Has some cool stuff, has the Andrew sisters in it and stuff, but for the most part, I don't think it's that great. I would say it's one of the weaker ones. The final skit is really sad also. It's really depressing. The one with the whale. I don't like the one with the whale. Yeah. I don't know. It's one of the worst, I think, of the anthology era. I would say, though, right above it, I would put Fun and Fancy Free. Because I don't think Fun and Fancy Free is very good. It only has, I believe 2 vignettes in it. And they're kind of, laced together with these Jiminy Cricket shorts. And Jiminy Cricket kind of, takes you to the final one. The big main attraction is the Mickey and the Beanstalk segment. That's the one with Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are starving, and then they go up the beanstalk like Jack and the Beanstalk, and they they have to sneak around the giant and all. And it's fun. It's definitely a fun short, but the narration just keeps breaking it up and everything, and it's just I don't know. It doesn't feel like you're watching a theatrical film again. It feels like you're just watching cartoon shows. So it's not bad, but it's definitely weaker than the Three Caballeros and Saludos Amigos, in my opinion. Next up, we have Melody Time. There was a lot like this, Make Mine Music, Fun and Fancy Free, and Melody Time are so easy to confuse. It's really easy to just lump these all together. But I do think of those 3, Melody Time is the best. Actually, I would say Melody Time is the best of all of the anthology ones we've talked about so far. I would put it still in D tier, but I would put it at the top of D tier. I think that's where it belongs. There's just some really cute, charming ones. The first sketch is really cute. The Johnny Appleseed one is really good. The Pecos Bill one's pretty good, and it has Roy Rogers in it, which is pretty cool, narrating it. So, yeah, it's pretty good. But then the last one we have is Ichabod and Mr. Toad. And that, I think, is definitely the best of the bunch. I would put that in C. I wouldn't say it's as good as, like, Bambi or something, but I would say it's really good, especially for the Ichabod segment. I know I'm biased. I love The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, but this isn't my favorite adaptation of it, but I do think it's a lot of fun. I do really like it. Bing Crosby narrating it. He does a good job. Yeah, great animation, fun, great little, just short to watch around Halloween, even if you don't want to watch the Mr. Toad one, the Wind in the Willows one, but that's good too. I definitely think these feel the most cinematic out of the anthology era. They definitely feel the most like, not really like films, but like short films, whereas the other ones just feel like TV cartoons. These ones actually feel like theatrical cartoons. So I think of this one more as like an actual film than the other 5. So I would definitely say it's a tier above the others.